Buongiorno and welcome to my podcast, My Way of Thinking, or MWOT for short, hosted by me, Lee Greeno, here live from the Man Cave every Monday. And of course, it is Happy New Year. Hope you had a great Christmas and a New Year, the best you could. Welcome to 2021. Ooh, it's got my bobble hat on. It's a bit cold. Weather's definitely changed. Look, I hope you're doing really well and just doing the best. Oh, and if you heard that was this is what Santa bought me. A little baby Yoda. He does do the Force and all sorts. But I must remember to switch him off when I'm doing the podcast because of the what? Oh, here we go. It's doing the Force. Must remember to switch him off because I don't know where the button is actually. Got it. Yeah, it keeps going off just for no reason, like a ghost. So yeah, I hope you all had a great Christmas. Now, My Way of Thinking is just a talk show, an educational mishmash of me talking and spurting, but finding out about amazing, brilliant human beings from all over the world. The stories can vary massively, but with the guests I'll be interviewing, you'll always be able to take a little bit of advice or insight into how extraordinary we can all be. There's only 4 rules. 1, no bullshitting. 2, no judging. 3, no negativity. And 4, have fun. Now, today, I'm speaking to Claudia Goetzelmann, all the way from Germany. Now, Claudia is fantastic. She is, if you've ever had the travel bug, this lady, it was in her blood when she was born. And you'll find out all about that in the interview. She runs a website called Permission to Bloom, which is just brilliant if ever you get a chance to go on that. But she also does yoga, meditation. She's also an AD photographer, which is what helped her with her travels. Just a fascinating lady, lovely, full of mindfulness, and just so easy to talk with, and got a brilliant aura about her. So I hope you enjoy this. This is the first one for 2021. Like I say, there's going to be some amazing ones coming up in this year, but I thought I'd start nicely with Claudia because she's such a lovely person. So here we go. This is me with a frog in the throat speaking to Claudia. Okay, I've got a fantastic guest today. Welcome all the way from Germany, Claudia Goetzelmann. Did I get that right?
You got that right. It took a few times, but you got it.
I know what it's like because my surname's terrible. My surname is actually Greeno, but the way it's written, it sounds like Green Huff, Green How. So it's just, and all through school, I was like, oh, people just get it wrong all the time. I thought about getting it changed by default to make it easier.
You know, I changed, so Goetzelmann, very German name, but I've lived around the world for, more than, most of my life, let's say. Yeah. So I actually changed the O with the dots to an OE because I thought that would make things easier, but it actually didn't. It made things more complicated. And my parents were really upset with me.
Oh, were they?
But too late now. It's changed officially.
Wow. It's fine by me. Right, now, what I always do, Claudia, is when I first interview someone, I'll always talk about something interesting or funny news or facts. And obviously, you're from Germany originally, so I haven't had an interview from Germany yet. So I thought, let's what I'll do, ask you some facts about Germany, and you can tell me if it's utter rubbish off the internet or it's actually true.
I hope I know it because, I'm only half German, but okay, we go there.
Well, we'll try it. We'll try. Did you go to school in Germany?
I did, yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, so on the first day of first grade, every child gets a giant cone filled with toys and candies. And you can also have things like quite expensive gifts in there as well, apparently. Is that correct?
That is true.
Yeah.
It is a truth. It's like makes you so excited to go to school.
Yeah.
You want to go to school.
What did you get in yours?
Oh my God. Probably, candy, I'd say.
Yeah.
All filled with candy.
That's a brilliant idea, though, that is. Isn't it? You know what I mean? Every kid's going to go, aren't they? If you were sick.
First day. Yeah. First day for sure.
Yeah, just the other days. Now, the next one, this is an amazing fact. college is free for everyone, even non-Germans. So Lower Saxony was the last state to scrap public university tuition. Now getting a degree is free for international students too. That is amazing, isn't it? Is that true?
That is also true. And there is no age limit. You can go back to university whenever you desire. And I think that's awesome that you can pick up at 60 and like, I'm going to go back to university and study.
That's amazing, isn't it? I mean, here, the tuition fees for university, I mean, they're over £9,000 a year, which is ridiculous. But that can only, what they're doing in Germany can only help the economy because, like you say, people who maybe have lost their job or want to train as something else, well, there's nothing holding them back, is there?
No.
Brilliant. Okay. Right. Now, this is a fun one. The government can and will reject weird baby names. According to German law, a person's gender must be obvious by their first name. So the Civil Registry Office can refuse names that don't comply. Reapplying can be costly. So that's why many parents go for traditional names like Michael and Maria. Is that correct?
Wow, that's obscure, but okay. I mean, I guess it's true. I don't know, but knowing the rigid Germanness, it's probably true.
It's true. Google said so. Now, this is a good one. Everything is closed on Sundays except church and brothels, of course. But it's called a quiet day. And you can't even do work in the house like drilling or anything like that. Are Sundays like that?
That is true. And if you put a nail in the wall and your neighbor gets upset, he can call the police and you will be shut down and fined.
Wow. Yeah. How much would you be fined?
I don't know, maybe 20, 50 euros. It's just, you're supposed to be quiet.
I can't believe that. You put a nail in the wall and so the police come round. Right, now this is the final fact. You remember that sweet, sticky orange soda from birthday parties, basically Fanta? That stuff, they basically make it for 8-year-olds in birthday cakes. It's actually called a Fanta Kuchen, which translates to Fanta cake. Is that correct?
I have no idea. I don't know. This is like, where did you find this?
I don't. It's Google. It's true. It's Google. So basically, we've got a load of. Go on.
No, I mean, this is I probably newest, latest German birthday party trends. I'm not up to them, so
basically, we've got a load of young 8-year-olds running around going crazy because they've had that much sugar. Anyway, we'll throw that away. Some were true. Anyway, thanks, Claudia, so much for joining me. I know you're in Germany at the minute, so we had to sort of work out the time difference. It's only an hour. I mean, the other day I had someone from Australia, so that was quite working that timing out. Was quite interesting. But you've got a fascinating story. So first of all, obviously you've been around the world and we'll talk about that later, but you started off in Germany, of course. I'm guessing you went to school. Tell us a little bit about growing up. Did you travel other places or was it all in Germany?
No, I think I was born with this travel bug.
Yeah.
I had a travel bug from day one. Matter of fact, my first trip was to go to Switzerland. I have relatives in Switzerland and I was 4 years old.
Wow. Yeah. So
I mean, I was accompanied, but
Yeah. But growing up, you went to school in Germany, but did you move around to other places for long periods or did you?
No, so the city I grew up, I went to school, but all my free time, any little money I had, I would go south, over the border, over the mountains, sleep in the car, go to Italy, Spain, France, Switzerland, you name it. And
wow.
I don't know, I had this urge to move.
Yeah. So I bet when you were sort of around 16, 17, I bet you'd been to so many places compared to other kids your age.
Could be, yeah.
It must have been if you were traveling like that. I mean, to travel like that in this country, I mean, you go away with your parents, of course, but were you traveling when you got older, sort of in your teens, or what sort of age when you were traveling on your own without your parents?
I think I started like with 16 and a half or 17. I was out. I think I moved out. I had my own little tiny flat at that age. I was like, I'm independent. I'm going.
Wow, that's great,
And
isn't it?
yeah, it was. And I had a boyfriend which had a car, and we just go on trips.
Yeah, I think that's great because you get too many kids stuck at home. I mean, I love my kids, but as soon as they're old enough, I'm going to kick them out. But it's good to get that independence at a young age. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think it opened my horizon. Matter of fact, I think traveling should be a mandatory thing in school, just taking some trips, because it opens you up to other cultures and you become more accepting of different customs, skin, language, whatever you name it, So I think it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, you're right. There should
And
be.
the parents.
Well, yeah, you're right though. I mean, when you speak to people, especially when they're a little bit older and they've never left this country. I mean, my own parents had never left this country, and you think, God, they missed out on so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but maybe it was also a different generation.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
it was.
probably. I think we're just so much easier these days with going on
Mm.
an airplane or anywhere. It's so normal, right? I mean, in Europe, you go on an airplane, let's say it's a bus. You
Yeah,
just hop and
yeah,
hop
it is. Yeah,
somewhere.
which is a good thing. So how has the pandemic obviously hit you then? Because all of a sudden you can't travel. I bet this year's hit you hard, hasn't it?
Well, I must say I'm a very fortunate being. I have two passports.
Right.
So I have a US passport and I have a German passport. And because of that, so in the beginning of the year in March, I came here for 1 week for my dad's birthday, and then the pandemic hit. And then I stayed for actually 2 months because we all didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But so there was this travel ban from, America didn't allow any Europeans in, and Europe didn't allow any Americans. And so I sort of moved in between the rules because I was able to go back with my US passport, which I did.
So is your dad
Mm-hmm.
German and your mum American then? No.
No, I lived in the US long enough now. So I had a visa. Well, we're going right into my life story. I moved from Singapore to the US, and I'm a photographer. I work in advertising and fashion. And so I decided, after living in Singapore for 6.5 years, I was like, oh, maybe I should go somewhere else. Travel bug again,
Yeah.
moving around.
Yeah.
And so I was like, maybe America is the ultimate dream. It's the thing in Europe. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
America. We have this idea of what America, I guess, was. I don't know,
Yeah.
if it still is. But so I moved there, and then I got a visa. And then I extended the visa. It was for special talent. And then you arrive, you get a green card. And then once you have the green card, you actually can apply for a passport, which I did.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So going back then, obviously you're into photography. So you've got your travel bug, and you want to travel. So you leave school. Where did the photography thing come in? Was that something that came in while you were at school or after school, or how did that work?
It was always there. I also had my first camera when I was 4 years old. I was just something I wanted to do. But growing up in Germany with all the rules,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to do those things, right? You're supposed to have a proper job.
Yeah.
So I started to study social law, and I was like, no, that
Yeah.
is not for me. But I think sometimes we have to do a little side tour in our life in order to realize what we actually want.
Yeah.
So that was that. And then with my boyfriend at that time, we decided to move to Africa. So
Africa.
Yeah. He he worked for the German company Siemens. Are you familiar with that? Yeah, as telecommunication. So he, you know, when you apply as a young out of university person for overseas position, they give you the shittiest country there is. And that was Nigeria. So we actually moved to Nigeria together.
Oh, right, yeah. And and where did the photography come in? Well, where did it come making money for a living?
So then being there, being curious and having this travel bug, I was like, oh my God, just all these beautiful people, tribal people, right? And I just started taking pictures, and it led to an exhibit in the Munich Stock Exchange, and the ambassador of Nigeria came. So,
wow, yeah.
So that's kind of was the beginning. Then I went into travel photography. Then we got upgraded. We moved to Indonesia.
Yeah.
It was like upgrade to the country. It was amazing. And I traveled a lot there to resorts and did a lot of travel photography. And then fast forward, we split up and I decided to move to Singapore. And then I started taking portraits of bankers and corporate lawyers and for annual reports. So
so
that's
you've
kind
got
of the gist.
Yeah, so one side is your creative photography, where you take pictures of everything you love, and now all of a sudden you're having to take pictures of corporate things that I would guess are pretty boring, but you get paid for it. Is that right?
That's right, and it was actually interesting. So that's another aspect of maybe my personality. I love people,
right?
And I love connecting. So when I met so many interesting people, you know, through that, because I had to take pictures of them and spend some time. And it was the very interesting thing was also a lot of these guys, it was such a bankers, it still is, you can say it, a man-oriented world, world. So there were always some funny moments, because there would be like, and where's the photographer? And I'm like, me.
Yeah. Is she just the tea lady?
Yeah. It's amazing, but what it changed the dynamic so much, because these guys would come in and I'm like, make it quick, I have 3 minutes, you know, I have other appointments, and PR woman or man, whatever, you know, standing by, and you don't have much time. And then suddenly I'm like, that's me, I'm the photographer. Suddenly they had time, they sat with me, we chat, and they're like, wow, how did you get into this? And it was very interesting to how they opened up, and suddenly time fell away, and you know, and I took all these photos of them.
So. Yeah. Oh, I bet that's fun. I bet that felt fantastic, and I bet you got such really good photos because of that. You know, connecting with them means that when you do take the photos, they actually don't mind. You know, they don't mind it, and I suppose you get a truer picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was that. So I realized that was one of my gifts, connecting with people.
Ah, brilliant. Well, that's why we're connecting right now.
That's right.
Right. Okay. So we fast forward. So we're at San Francisco. Good old San Francisco. Never been. Is it a beautiful place? Is it?
It's very beautiful.
Yeah, I'd love to go. We were planning it. We were going to plan San Francisco, then down to Santa Monica and all that along the coast. But we just never got around to doing it. But we will do. We will do now. Our children are a bit older, because that just sounds fantastic. Have you ever been along the coastal road down there?
So many times.
Oh,
I know this road way too well.
Is it stunning?
Oh my God, it's amazing. It will be there waiting for you whenever you're ready.
I cannot wait. So obviously you're in San Francisco, and then you sort of, things went a bit wrong, didn't they? Tell us a little bit about
Well, so I lost my heart in San Francisco,
that.
as the saying goes.
Yeah.
And so I did. And that was about 4 years ago. I went through a crazy divorce.
Yeah.
But it was, now in the hindsight, the biggest gift I actually received.
Yeah.
Because, life happens, you get derailed, you lose ourselves. And I think it's that stage in our life, sort of that midlife, where we find ourselves in. We don't go out party anymore that much, or we have family, and suddenly, things happen,
Yeah.
burnouts. So it was heavy, I would say. I had a burn down and a phoenix rising. But since so it's a gift, because I was like, literally, there was the ashes, and I was like, who am I wanting to be? Who do I need to be? Who am I?
Yeah.
And it was a very painful but also amazingly beautiful process, because it's like an alchemy. There's so much nutrition and gold in the shadow. And when we have this ability to go and see the flip side of our shadow, then we can rebuild and rise.
Yeah, that's beautiful the way you put that. And it is true. I mean, when people go through, pain, sometimes it's so difficult at the time to think this is going to get better. But one thing, and I interview quite a few people on this show about mental health and things like that, is it will get better, and you have to believe that. And like you say, it's almost a beautiful thing, because that pain, you turn that into a positive. And as you grow, that's something that you can only learn by going through, that pain, as terrible as it is. And for people like yourself, it's life changing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's there's no shortcut, and you really have to go through the tunnel.
Yeah.
And sit in it and marinate in it. And as to give you a visual. But then I think the moment you accept that you're really in the mud, in the dirt, and there were so many days and we're like, okay, today's just another useless day, I feel shitty, whatever. But the moment you embrace that, I think something magical happens.
Yeah.
It takes away the pressure, because it's that acceptance.
Yeah.
And sort of you get onto one plane with your shadow, for lack of a better word, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. So you've been through that, and you come out the other side and you start thinking, right, this is what I'm going to do in my life. Or I know there was a turning point when you came back in 2017 to Germany. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so what happened, I sort of gradually picked myself up, and I don't know why, it's these synchronicities life sometimes
just
throws
happens.
at you.
Yeah.
So there was this article, or so podcast I came across, and it was about, the title was "What the Dying Can Teach the Living," and it's by Frank Orzechowski, and I can share the link later with you. But it's just, so I guess because I died, I was so fascinated about death. And so I listened to this podcast, and I got more fascinated about this. And next thing I know, I was going to Boulder, Colorado, and becoming a certified end-of-life doula. Yeah. So now you ask, what the heck is an end-of-life doula?
Yeah.
So end-of-life doula, it's a fairly new profession, let's call it that. So there is, doulas who birth babies. And now there's doulas who help transition from form to formless when people die. So it's an very heart-opening occupation and process, and I learned so much. I felt like I really needed to engage with the topic of death. And so I did this, but then I was like, I don't know if I really want to work with the end of life. Really, that's not who I am. So I thought maybe I need some more structure. What else is it? So I went and did a spiritual life coach training. And then I thought, wow, this is it. I'm going to take all these tools and all this wisdom, whatever I have learned at the end of life, and bring it to the right now, right here, to you and me. Then, because I think if we can engage on the topic of death in the now, we can actually live a more rich and authentic life.
Yeah, definitely. That's an amazing journey if you think of it from where you've come from, and then you've almost found your calling now. Would you agree with that?
I think I'm on this path and nothing can stop me.
I guess I can guess that, Claudia. I can guess that. I mean, and it is a fascinating thing because we all think about death and we all worry about death. And I think the acceptance and being able to help people is amazing. I mean, I love listening to Deepak Chopra. He's a fascinating guy, and he talks about, obviously this is just a body. There's so much more consciousness, and I think but people like yourself, you said when you first got into it, you thought, oh, I don't know if I can do that, but ultimately you're serving people that are dying. It's such an important role, isn't it? And if you didn't do it, if no one did it, those people would be on their own, wouldn't they? And that'd be awful.
Yeah, I think I think the olden days in tradition, when we go back into our tribal history, there was ritual, right? We had ritual to go from form to formless. But in our modern Western world, we gave up those rituals. We gave up community. We gave up the village. We gave up the family tradition. So, we say in general often find ourselves extremely lonely and alone. And then also in the moment of death, we maybe find ourselves under a neon light in a hospital room. And where's the integrity? Where's the to pass? So I think we really need to bring back this conversation into the here and now and talk about it, and take that taboo away from talking about death, because it's actually it's the most innocent, beautiful process there is. We're born to die, so it's okay. We can talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing is as well, I know obviously you practice yoga and meditation. That's all sort of linked in, isn't it? Because meditation fascinates me. I really want to be able to meditate, but I've tried and my mind just will not shut up. But I'll get there. One day I will get there. Tell us a little bit about that, the meditation and the yoga.
Actually, just because you said that about your mind has to shut up, maybe your mind doesn't have to shut up. I think the key is not to hold on to your thoughts. You can have a million thoughts, and we all do. I do. Everybody has, even the biggest practitioners. And Deepak Chopra, he admits it. He has thoughts. It's just that we don't hold on to these thoughts. They just go through whatever that thought is, whatever random thing comes into our mind, and it just goes out.
Yeah.
Just let it pass through without attaching to it and valuing it and judging it. I think that's the key.
Yeah. And so how does that link when you meditate, and is there a link there between, does that make you feel better about end of life and dying, because when you meditate you feel outside of your own body? Tell us that about that.
I think meditation is a grounding practice. We all should, invite everybody. It doesn't need to be anything overwhelming. It's just something like we could do for 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, even in the middle of the day, in the car, on the traffic light. It's just about breathing, and we sort of really consciously breathe in and out and feel our body and respect our body and feel our belly, and that's where our gut sits, where our intuition sits, and connect and ground. And that is a form of meditation. And when we do that, I think we feel more connected with this world, with our surrounding, with nature, with other humans, with animals, with the ground. And that will make us just feel more whole.
Do you meditate daily, do you, Claudia?
I do practice this every day. Yeah, I'm happy to share. I have a little morning ritual.
Okay,
and,
let's do it. Let's do it.
It's nothing special, but even, I think it's so essential, because we all wake up, and next thing we do, we wake up and then we grab our phone and we look.
Yeah.
And what's the latest news, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. But so I have my phone away, and I just wake up and I consciously think about my body, and then I put my hand on my heart and I say out loud, today I will hold myself in love. Today I will make this a good day, a beautiful day. I am in charge of this day. And you can say, you say maybe twice, 3 times, and you breathe in and you feel your body, because we were just asleep, out of away from our conscious mind, and then here we are. It's a gift that we can wake up into our body again, right? We take it for granted. Here we are.
Well, go on then. So what's the first thing we say then? So
I say, today I hold myself in love.
Today.
And you put your hand on your heart, and it's if you really, you close your eyes and you say, today I hold myself in love.
Today
and
I hold myself in love. What's the next thing?
Today I am in charge of this day. I am in control of this day. I am love.
I am in control. And how should we, breathing wise, do you just breathe normal, or is it deep breaths?
You can do how you feel, but I take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Today, I hold myself in love.
So I feel better already.
It's so powerful, because it's really, you connect with your heart, with your heart chakra. And I think there's something it's so simple, and you can do it everywhere you go. And maybe, I think so for me, and I think we're all so stressed about what's going on right now in this world, right, with the pandemic. I wake up this way, and it puts a little smile on my face. It makes me smile from the inside out, glowing, so to say. It's this energy.
Yeah.
And I go and meet my family, and I feel grounded, and I feel like I'm better weathered. I'm more like a tree to take whatever this day may bring me, because I think there's a lot of challenges we face.
Yeah. And that's a good point, because I'm a pretty happy person. I'm always smiling, and I try and be positive. But sometimes I think that I'd put that on sometimes, because in the back of my mind, I could be stressed about something or worried about something else. And like you say, when you get up in the morning, it's just having those few minutes to yourself, isn't it? To just not think and just try and just you know what I mean? This day and age, it's so easy. Like I say, pick your phone up, you're rushing out, you're rushing around. I'm terrible for that. So I do need to be better. I do know that. And it will make me feel a lot better in myself, definitely. So it is something I will crack eventually.
And it's also only a minute. It's also this time and respect we gift ourselves, because we gift our phone so much time or so much presence. But I think we deserve that 1 or 2 minutes, and it's nothing in our day, but it makes the difference. It makes such a difference.
Yeah,
and I suggest that everybody starts small, because that's another thing. People are like, I'm going to be a meditator, and I'm going to have 15 20 minutes, and then people get overwhelmed, and and then you do it twice, and then you're like, oh, it's not for me.
Yeah, it's something to do for life, not it's not an accessory. I mean, I'd love to take up yoga as well, and I did try it once, but what I realized is I can't just, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it properly, and I know how difficult it is, and you have to be doing it regular. You know what I mean? So I don't want to do it and not give it the respect it deserves. So I think when I do take it up, I'll be ready to sort of change myself. It's difficult. These things are difficult because you've got the ego, haven't you? You've got the ego saying, you'll never do it, it'll never work. And it's like, shut up, just shut up.
But it's so interesting. I want to recommend actually a book. Have you heard of James Clear, Atomic Habits?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Atomic Habits, no. So I love this book, and he wrote about how we form habits and how we let go of habits.
Oh, okay.
And and it says atomic habits, because atomic as in tiny baby steps, atomic steps, right?
Yeah.
And so everything we start, good or bad, we start on a small scale. Because for instance, he had a client, and he talks about that client was overweight and wanted to go to the gym. And the way he started was to go for 2 months just to the gym with his shoes and not allowed to work out, because he needed to form the habit of going there.
Yeah.
And once he was in the habit of going, then he incrementally started to do a little workout. Yeah. And that became like such a success story. But it's with anything, we can transfer this to everything in our life. We're like, I'm going to do this, and then we're going to have these grand ideas how and what. And then we think we fail. But we don't. It's just that we overwhelm ourselves.
Yeah, I think the problem is the way the world is such a stressful, it goes so fast and it's so stressful. People go, oh, I'm going to do this. And they jump in at the deep end. I mean, the gym's a perfect example. The amount of people that in New Year will go to the gym and say, right, I've put a load of weight on, I'm going to go to the gym, and they last a few weeks, and that's it. And it's all about, it's like you say, implementing these things for life and getting them into a routine so that you can stick with them, i.e., everything that you've talked about, really.
Yeah, I think so. It's, we're coming back all around to the meditation and the yoga practice in the morning. And that's, we start tiny, and then we feel we achieved something. Yeah. We feel we've accomplished something, and we can be proud. And it's this incremental increase over periods of days or weeks, and we become better. And then we can slowly master it. And even that, it's an interpretation, are we really becoming masters? It takes, we don't have to be masters. The key is that we do it.
Yeah.
Just start.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so where are you heading for the future then, Claudia? What are you looking forward to? Or have you got more work abroad, or what are you going to be up to?
Well, that is an interesting question, because pandemic, if it's teaching us one thing, is don't make any plans.
Yeah.
because it seems like, you know, everything you plan, you just sort of gets derailed of some form and way. But grand big picture, I will return to Venice Beach, to LA, where I live.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I'd just started applying for a 1-year program with Gabor Mate. He's a well-respected trauma and grief therapist.
Oh, right,
and
okay.
I'm going to study trauma and grief therapy. So
wow. So how does that link in then? So drama and grief therapy.
I know. I don't know. I'm very fascinated.
There's one thing.
Okay.
Go on.
No, you should go on. Sorry.
Well, there's one thing about it. The teacher, you said, he must know a lot about humans and human nature to be able to teach drama and grief therapy.
Yeah. So 2 things. But because you asked me why, well, I'm a very curious being. And I'm fascinated with the human psyche and brain.
Yeah.
So I felt like it just called me. It felt like this is on my path. And his philosophy, that's the second, his philosophy is that most trauma we experience, or depression, every form of trauma we experience in our life is because we're not loved enough. So if we can bring love to the people who feel the pain, then we can change and heal a lot. For instance, why do people do bad things? It's because of scarcity, or because they grew up in a very bad environment, like in their childhood. But why did they grow up that way? Because they weren't loved enough. They didn't experience family. They were pushed into whatever situation. So they are, and then they're put on that path. But if we can change that, and instead of punishing, I mean, this is general talk, obviously, individual stories.
Yeah.
But instead of punishing people more and putting them into cells, but re-educating them and helping them to work through their trauma and offering them new opportunities in their life, then, we could make a better society, or form a better society.
Yeah, that's interesting, because it's fascinating what you say about love, because it is true. You can grow up, I didn't have much when we grew up, and my mum looked after us, but she always loved us and gave us love. And you think you don't need money to love, if you got family, friends, you should always show some love. And if you don't, it can really, there's nothing worse than seeing children not loved. There's nothing on the planet, nothing worse. So if we can all make sure we give a bit more love, I think that would make a massive, massive difference to the world, don't you?
Yeah, and and there's no end to love. The more we give, the more we produce. It's it's abundant.
Yeah, and it's not hard. It's not hard, is it? It's not. And sometimes it has an effect from, the dad's dad might not have loved him, so he didn't learn to love, and then his children, and it's changing that, isn't it? It's changing that cycle.
But that's again where I feel like a lot of my work comes in, and where I think I want to help people, because the more we know about our inner self, the more we can really identify, why we are the way we are. Then we can really step into this authentic self, or let go of this package we have been carrying around, maybe for centuries, for generations, right? It's ancestors. So we just can let it go and feel like, whoa, I don't know, I can let this go. I can be light and and be more authentic and full of love.
Now, I always ask my guests, what's the best bit of advice you've ever been given or could give, Claudia?
Well, I think I come back to the atomic habits.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's key to start. Any idea is useless unless you do it. Yeah. And I think if we start tiny, then we can feel we are on our way. And everything is practice, it's just, we should be gentle with ourselves, self-love, self-trust, and knowing that we are on the right path. And I think that's in these times right now of pandemic is more important than ever, because the message is so clear. We need to change the way we live, right? We need to come back to ourselves, and we need to go inward and really reassess our values, maybe.
Yeah, that's a great bit of advice. And I think with the pandemic, it has forced people to do, a lot of people to sit back and think, which can only be a good thing. I know it's been an awful thing for people that have been affected, but you've got to take the positives away from it. And it's definitely, we'll never get this time. A lot of people will never get this time again. So, you've got to think, okay, stop running around the shops trying to buy the latest Christmas present. Just sit at home.
It's true. It's all about distraction, right? If we are not able to listen to our inner voices, we will distract ourselves as much as we can. Yeah. But we need to, pause and listen and actually befriend our inner voices. And maybe in the beginning that's scary, but then, they're part of us. So it's okay. We just befriend them.
Yeah. Now, I always ask my guests for a favorite. You've already said Atomic Habits, so you can't have that book. So what other favorite? It can be a book, a TV show, a film, anything you want.
Actually, so another good book I suggest people to poke around in, Brené Brown. Have you heard of Brené Brown?
No. How do you spell that?
It's B, like boy, R-E-N-E, and then Brown.
Oh, right, okay.
And she did podcasts, TED Talk.
All right.
Listened by millions and millions of people, or watched by millions of people, and it's about vulnerability and shame.
Oh, okay.
Because shame is a very interesting emotion, I would say, we carry. We don't do things because of shame. So she's a scientist and a researcher, and she breaks it down, and it's incredible. It's so accessible. Yeah. And she wrote several books, and two books I also recommend, and one is called Braving the Wilderness.
Yeah.
Braving the Wilderness, and the other one is called Rising Strong.
Rising Strong.
And yeah, and I love these books. I come back to them over and over. She has a podcast now as well, where she invites just very interesting guests. I don't know. It's just Google the name and you will find.
Well, you need to get on a podcast. You need to contact her and say, look, can I come on your show? Can you interview me? Because you're interested, aren't you?
Oh, she just had Barack Obama on her podcast.
So
she's a whole different
he's a human being. He's a human being, believe it or not. We're all human beings. I mean, he's a pretty classy human being, but so are you.
That's right.
He's got nothing on you. Now,
yeah.
Right, so that's another 3 books I've got to buy now. I come in this
Actually,
show.
I want to make one more recommendation. No, it's just rounding up our conversation.
Yeah.
Esther Perel. Have you heard of Esther Perel?
No, I think.
And she did TED Talk, and it's all about relationships. In how are we with one another in the 21st century? What is modern love? And she wrote a book, and that's called Mating in Captivity.
Mating in Captivity.
Captivity, because she talks about how we now, it's the first time ever, before we had rearranged marriages and lovers, and there was maybe the elder in a village who we talked to, and now it's one person. Right. So it's a very thought-provoking book, but I highly recommend it.
I love people recommending books, but the problem is I've got a pile. I've got a pile at home. But I will get through them because, they're, for people that don't read, they should. I don't read enough. I know that. But the TED Talks is a great one, because even if you don't read the TED Talks, it's 15 minutes. It's only a short time, isn't it, that they get to talk. They're all on YouTube. And there's some brilliant TED Talks, so I'll definitely be looking out for them. So thanks for those recommendations. That's brilliant. Okay, now if people want to get in contact with you, or see what you're up to, where can they find you, Claudia?
Well, so my website, that is permissiontobloomcoaching.com.
Yeah.
And then also Instagram, it's permission-to-bloom. It's with the underscore in the permission_to_bloom.
Yeah.
And then if anybody wants to see my fabulous photography work.
Oh, yeah. Where? I didn't see that anywhere.
It's my name. It's claudiagoetzelmann.com. And I don't know if you do show notes, but I can send you the links.
Yeah, let me just have a look at. I'm surprised I didn't, because I did want to try and find your photography, but I couldn't see it anywhere. So it's Claudia
Goetzelmann.com. Yeah, with OE.
Oh yes. I'll try and find it. I'll do it afterwards, because I did want to say. Oh no, I can't find it for some reason. Damn you, Google. I will have a look though. But yeah, what I'll do on the show notes, I'll put all the links to all that anyway. Well, look, Claudia, it's been absolutely fantastic speaking to you. Really, I could, we could stay on here all day, but unfortunately we can't. But definitely come back on the show next year, and tell us what you're up to and wherever you're living. Or wherever you'll be, because I'm sure your journey is just going to carry on from strength to strength, because you just know yourself, and you just, you know what I mean, you're going on the right path. And I think some of it's just luck, some of it's just inspiration. It's a bit of everything, isn't there? There's no right or wrong way about it.
No, I think I really internalized trusting my journey.
Yeah,
and
trust your gut.
Yeah, and it opened up so much. And I think that's my parting word to your listeners, to trusting our journey is key, and we can relax into it, because at the end it will all somehow work out if we follow our inner calling.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure, next time we interview, you'll be Venice Beach somewhere in the sun, while I'm stuck here in the UK, raining.
That's right. We're going to record while I'm hanging out on the beach.
No way. You think I'm sitting here watching you in the sun in Venice? No chance. You make me sick. But no. Thanks ever so much for coming on, Claudia, today. And, you look after yourself. Take care. And I'll speak soon. Much love.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, that's it. Massive thanks again to Claudia for joining me today. And also for you listening or watching, if you're on YouTube, make sure you follow the podcast, because coming up, like I say, over the next months, we're into 2021. I've got some brilliant interviews lined up, and there's some extraordinary conversations and just life affirming things that you might want to find out about or listen to. Now, if you want to listen to it, it streams on the usual platforms, iTunes and Spotify. So please leave a rating on there and subscribe. It is important. To keep up to date, you can follow Facebook, which is My Way of Thinking Podcast. Also, I'm on Twitter, My Way of Thinking, with a 3 on the end instead of a G. And on Instagram is MWOT Podcast. Every week, I put the whole conversation on YouTube. If you just put My Way of Thinking Podcast on there, it's also on there if you want to see this pretty face. And finally, if you do want to get in touch, you think you'll be a great guest, or you think you know someone who'll be a great guest, then email me. It's mawhatpodcast@aol.com. I really hope you enjoyed that. Like I say, I won't let you down. I've got some fantastic interviews coming up this year, so make sure you keep listening in. Until next time, Happy New Year. God bless. Speak soon.
Bye.